Greeting everyone. Welcome to the December meeting of the Historic Conservation Commission. I'm Gary Lader, Chair of the HCC, and I would like to introduce the Commission. To my left is Jeffrey Long, our Historic Officer and Registered Architect. To my far left is Craig Evans, resident of the district. Next to me is Todd Chambers, architect with business interests in the district. And to my far right is Mike Simonson, Chief Building Inspector. I shall read the ordinance information. Is the purpose and intent of the City of Bethlehem to promote, enhance, and preserve historic resources and traditional community character for the education, cultural, economic, and general welfare of the public through the preservation, protection, and regulation of buildings and areas of historic interest or importance within the city, which have been determined to be of local, state, or national significance. The way the meeting will unfold is the applicants, or in this case, the applicant, will be taken in order. After identifying the project address and the presenters, our historic officer will provide a background on the building and any recommendations. At that time, the applicant will present their project and plan. The board will then address the project, allow public comment, and ultimately create a motion to approve as presented, approve with modifications, table the project with clear recommendations, or deny the project with reasons for the denial, and changes or improvements which would result in a positive recommendation. For public comment, there is a 3-minute time limit, and comments must be specific to attributes of the project only, attributes of the building only. Speakers are to announce themselves with their name and address before speaking. The HCC is a recommending board, and the results of our meeting will be presented to City Council, and their vote will be binding. Please do not forget to secure your permit from the permit office on the first floor of City Hall before you begin your project. Above all, I remind everyone to conduct themselves in a civil manner and always use a civil tone. The Commission is here to help you with your project. We are a group of volunteers who are dedicated to historic preservation and restoration of older buildings in Bethlehem and beyond. If any Commission members have a conflict of interest with any of the applications on tonight's agenda, please come forth at this time. And as it turns out, I am the one who has the conflict tonight, so I'm going to turn things over to Craig. And with that, we'll have our applicant step down for 117 East 4th Street. And I have 117 on here. Oh, okay.
Can I sit here?
Yeah, please sit there, sign in, and just announce your name. And then Jeff will give the introductory information.
Okay. Cheryl Green from Fest Signs, Allentown.
We could just have you sign in. Just print your name, please. Thank you. This structure is currently under construction, but will ultimately result in a detached, mixed-use, commercial and residential brick masonry building with a series of flat roofs. The taller central portion is 7 stories tall, while the shorter side additions are each 3 stories tall. The entry level includes a series of storefronts for commercial tenants and support services for the residential tenants, while the upper floor levels include a mix of studio, 1-bedroom, and 2-bedroom residential units. Building elements shift in materiality from red brick to gray and black brick as the facade steps back at the upper floor levels and as the building recesses at the east wing. This structure is contemporary in style and is considered non-contributing to the Historic Conservation District. The applicant proposes to install 2 signs on the front facade of the building, 1 wall sign and 1 with dimensional letters mounted onto the entrance canopy. Guideline citations for my assessment include the Bethlehem Ordinance that Mr. Lader read at the beginning of tonight's meeting, as well as the Historic Conservation Commission design guidelines for signage. My evaluation of the effects on the district and recommendations. The Certificate of Appropriateness application indicates the intent to install a new wall-mounted sign at the entry-level facade. The proposed 2-inch thick deep channel sign measures 48 inches tall by 43¼ inches wide. HCC traditionally limits the thickness of appropriate signage within the district to maximum 1.5 inches, so discussion is warranted. Details on the provided drawing sheet number 2 indicate that the sign is to be backlit, resulting in a halo effect. Though not specifically identified within relevant design guidelines, HCC recently determined that backlit signage is appropriate, especially for signs installed on non-contributing structures. Centered within the front face of the aluminum sign is a large, bold, stylized uppercase letter M logo. Vertical and horizontal dimensions of the logo are not indicated. The color of the sides in the front face of the aluminum channel sign is not indicated. However, supplemental facade renderings indicate all surfaces seem to be black in color. The rendering also indicates that the sign is centered horizontally between the double entrance doors and the far right storefront of the main brick facade. Vertical dimensions from the public right-of-way to the bottom of the sign is not indicated. The sign is to be mounted into the brick facade using masonry screws. The dimension of the offset between the facade and the back of the sign is not indicated. Relevant design guidelines encourage the installation of fasteners within mortar joints rather than directly into masonry units to facilitate future repair if the sign is ever removed or replaced. The proposed signage is appropriate based on the relevant design guidelines for non-contributing structures, pending clarification of a few items. HCC might consider asking the applicant to reduce signage to maximum 1.5 inches, so it's consistent with other appropriate signage in the district. The applicant should confirm the dimension from the public right-of-way, the sidewalk, to the bottom of the sign. That's simply so I can include that in the certificate. The applicant should confirm the horizontal and vertical dimensions of the letter M logo within the sign face. Again, just simply so I can include that in the certificate. The applicant should confirm the colors of the sides and the face of the aluminum channel sign. I was just predicting it's black based on the rendering. It might be a different color. I will remind you, HCC does not dictate color. It, again, is simply to include in the resulting certificate. The applicant should confirm or could confirm the dimension of the offset between the building facade and the back of the sign. Yet again, it's simply to include in the certificate. Applicant should confirm that masonry screws to install the sign will utilize mortar joints rather than directly into the brick masonry units. And the applicant should confirm that there are no junction boxes, conduits, or raceways for the proposed illumination visible on the building facade. All of those things should take place on the interior of the building, not the exterior. So that concludes my comment on the wall-mounted sign. There's a second sign. The COA application also indicates the intent to install dimensional letters mounted to the entrance canopy. That was in the text on the application. There's a little bit of a discrepancy, and Ms. Green and I already spoke, and my assessment predates a follow-up communication, but I think it clarifies itself pretty easily. The proposed 1/2 inch thick brushed silver aluminum sign measures 14 inches tall by 162 inches wide. The sign is composed of large, bold, sans serif, all uppercase letters, individual letters that spell out the Marshall. A detail on the provided drawing sheet number 1 depicts the lettering that is stud mounted directly into the brick facade. However, the supplemental facade rendering indicates the proposed location is atop the entrance canopy at the far right storefront of the main brick facade. So clarification is warranted. Though not specifically identified within the relevant design guidelines, HCC recently determined that lettering installed atop entrance canopies is appropriate, especially for signage installed on non-contributing structures. We subsequently received, after I contacted Fast Signs and spoke with Ms. Green, an updated detail that indeed confirms the intent to install on top of the canopy and not directly into the facade. So the discrepancy was the detail and not the verbiage and not the rendering. My only request is the applicant should confirm the width of the canopy to ensure that the proposed signage dimensionally fits. So we have the dimensions of the sign, 162 inches wide. We don't have a scale drawing, so I couldn't dimensionally scale. Again, just for the certificate, if we could get the the width, then I can include that in the certificate.
Okay. Comments, Ms. Green?
Okay. Which one should I start with? Either one?
Anywhere you want.
Okay. Well, let's start with, we just finished talking about the dimensional letters. So I wanted to just show an example of the brushed aluminum I have here, if I can bring it up if you want to see it. And as Jeffrey mentioned, they will be mounted like this, bottom mounted to the top of the canopy. And we will get that dimension of the canopy to confirm the width of that.
The expectation is that they would be 14 inches high.
They're 14 inches high. This is a 1/4 inch thick. The letters that we're talking about will be a 1/2 inch thick, but they will be the same finish as this letter, which is why I brought that.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
14 inches by 1/2 inch.
Yep, 14 inches high. They will be a 1/2 inch thick.
And is that backlighted?
No, it's non-illuminated. Okay. The wall sign, I brought a prop here. So the wall sign is actually not a backlit. It's a halo lit sign. So no light is going forward. The light is shining at the building. So what happens is my number 6 here would be mounted with 1.5 inch standoffs, which is one of the questions that Mr. Long had. And the purpose for the 1.5 distance is so that you can see in here we have LED lights. The LED lights shine onto the building and kind of bounce back. So the 6 then, if this were the letter, would become a halo. So the cutout for the capital M, picture that as this circle. There's nothing there. There's no light shining out. So there would just be lights around the perimeter of the M and around the outside of the M, of the shape, shining at the building. So nothing is shining outward. This is a 3 inch deep. What we're talking about is a 2 inch deep channel, I'll call it shape, with then 1.5 standoffs to project that light. So it would be a total of 3.5 inches off of the building. And go ahead.
As Jeff had mentioned, typically we have looked for 1.5 inches to 1.75 inches on that depth of the or thickness.
Mm-hmm.
And do you need the 3 inches to fulfill the lighting arrangement?
Correct, because what happens is the lighting, actually I explained it incorrectly. The lights are facing away from you as you're looking at it here. They shine to the white aluminum, which then shines back on the wall. So the front is opaque, so it doesn't come out the front. It bounces back off the white on the inside and shines back on the building. So you need at least that 2 inch so that it gives it a full halo. And you need the 1.5 space between here and the wall to create that effect.
So what's the depth of the construction that we're talking about there? 3 inches?
Well, this is 3 inches. But the actual sign that we're talking about, the dimensional M here, would be 2 inches.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Yep.
And how high is that going to be off of the sidewalk?
I will need to confirm that. I'm going to say, just for estimating purposes, it looks like the bottom of the sign is approximately 3 feet from the sidewalk.
3 feet plus 48 inches puts the top of it right at the head height of the door.
Yes, it does.
I
Yeah,
would
so
call
about
Although
7. Mm-hmm.
at 4.5 inches, it's not ADA compliant. Right?
What's that? What's that?
Well, the 4.5 inch depth, right? And you need the cane detection, and
Yeah, so
technically
I
it's not.
thought,
yeah.
yeah, I thought you
4
could,
inches is your
Right, but she's saying it's
Number.
3.5.
3.5. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so.
I heard
sounds
3 inches and. I'm
Okay.
confused.
No,
Yep,
this
good.
is 3
Yeah, I
inches.
think
Yeah.
s-
My sample is, not the actual sign.
Okay.
And it will be, this is gray. Obviously, the M will be black. It will be a black color. That's their logo color, and it matches part of the brick in the building.
And what color is the backlighting? Is it
It's just white.
just white?
Can we do 2700 K
I have.
color temperature? Or 3000 max?
So I have what it will be. It's a 6,000. It projects in and then out again.
What
So-
are the, yeah, 6,000 is way too blue. We need it to be 2700 Kelvin, which is more warm.
Okay, you need it to be warm versus
Or yeah,
cool.
yeah, or
Okay.
3,000 would be the
Gotcha.
highest value that we
So
could
you
go
were
to.
looking for this?
Yes, correct.
Gotcha. Okay. Understood. Okay.
I was, I have to,
We would have reviewed and approved those, right?
what this?
Yeah, the Wisconsin's.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
came.
And they
for
would
us.
have been 2700 Kelvin.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else about that?
No, any other
Yeah.
questions?
That's for the M, right? I have some questions about the Marshall sign above the canopy. If you look at the notes on your, and I'm looking at the revised diagram.
Mhm. I
Um,
have a printout if you'd like, if that's easier.
it's working. It's on the city's website. But it says tiebacks recommended if over 8-inch high letters. So are you anticipating using tiebacks or not?
I was not advised either way on that. So I would assume if that is the normal, then that is how they would install it, if that is the normal.
So what, I mean, I'm, I automatically go to what does that look like, right? Is that a black painted bar or something that ties all the tops of the letters together to give it more stability?
Yeah, the point of
Question.
these letters is for them to be individual, so they would look individual. We would not put a bar behind all the letters.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely not.
And no concerns with them becoming misaligned or, okay.
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, it shows the letters with a tieback hole.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mhm.
And the back is unfinished?
The back would be the same as this, so it's finished all around.
Yeah, you can bring it
Yeah, I
up.
did. Thank you. Okay, so it has this similar brushed appearance.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, it would be all around because.
I don't think you can really see it, but
Yeah, the wall mounted letters.
Stay curious.
Don't have a finished back, but when they're freestanding.
Anybody else want to see?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it would be twice that thickness and a little bit about twice that height.
And they're flush mounted?
No, they are mounted to the top of the canopy.
Yeah, but I mean, it shows here an optional spacer sleeve at the bottom.
yeah, you'd probably want to have something.
That's what I'm at.
Yeah.
Oh, the space. Oh, from the it. They probably will, so it's not rubbing on
Okay,
the
that-
canopy. Yeah.
Just to
mhm.
capture it. for
Yep.
Can we set that dimension? What do you think? 1/2 inch?
Yeah.
So if we can specify a 1/2 inch spacer.
Okay.
Um, Jeff, were there any other concerns about the canopy signage?
The applicant agreed to follow up to confirm the width dimension just to ensure that the proposed spacing, works with the canopy.
If they're going to follow up with the width dimension of the canopy, just if you could follow up too with the how you're going to do the tiebacks on those, so we can
Sure.
get that for the record.
Sure.
Your sample in the letter G there is a serif style. That's not what is going on here?
This is exactly the font that we're using.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we taking public
Any-
comments?
Questions or comments or a motion?
And just one last question though. There's no lighting on the Marshall on the top
Correct.
of the canopy? Okay.
Correct.
I'm just wondering why this isn't higher up.
I kind of like it down there.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I really do.
All right.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the signage for the Marshall with wall sign that is 2 inches deep, black colored, with the stylized M logo, halo lit on 1.5-inch standoffs, mounted 3 feet from the sidewalk elevation to the bottom edge of the sign, and 2700 Kelvin backlighting. The Marshall canopy sign consists of 1/2-inch thick brushed aluminum lettering. Applicant to confirm the width of the canopy and provide that dimension for the record for Mike's review. The letters will be 14 inches high, mounted on 1/2-inch standoffs from the top of the canopy. Did I miss anything?
Can I make one comment? Even though I recuse myself, I'm going to be a member of the public on this. So if you're looking at the rendering, keep in mind that the head of the door probably is 7 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what's being showed of the sign might be out of scale if that sign is 48 inches.
I noticed that too, Gary, but I didn't want to make a confusion.
And I actually like the way it's positioned in the rendering. I think I'm just wondering if the applicant, as a member of the public, I'm just.
Okay, so
wondering, you know,
I'll
We can do it
clarify.
as per the rendering.
I'll clarify the motion to give some leeway on the mounting height. Let's say minimum of 3 feet off the sidewalk and a maximum top elevation of the sign of 9 feet. That gives us 2 feet to work with,
Yeah.
right? My math is correct there.
Yep.
Okay,
Second?
Jeff?
Clarification, Mr. Simons had requested also if the applicant is returning with the dimension.
Oh, yes, to confirm the tiebacks. Yes.
Yep.
And we would just want to see that detail if tiebacks are required for the 14-inch
Sure.
tall letters.
Yep.
Is there a second, Mike?
I'll second.
Aye.
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 Motion
Right.
carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the previous. meeting.
Thank you. Please do.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second. Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any, on this last meeting of the year, and any old business? Any new business? I think we pretty much went through that before we started, right?
And discussing it.
Well, if that's the case, I want to wish everyone happy holidays,
Oh,
happy
I'm
New
sorry,
Year.
yes. I never got up and gave it to you.
Glad we made
I
it.
don't want to give
to
you my
this
notes.
part of
Hold
the
on a
year.
second.
Yep. Same.
Motion to adjourn.
There we go.
Second.
Welcome. And who do I send that information to? Do I send it to you?
Thank you. I had a bit to do with it.
Stephanie.